Buddha has a 5 friends in Bodh Gaya. Okay, he just their names were Kaurin, Mahanama, Bhartari, Bap, and Aswajit. All 5 were Brahman priest. So when they were meditating all together, Buddha and the 5 friends. So one day Buddha had eaten the one milk pot. One lady, her name was Sujata, he had offered a milk pot to Buddha. Buddha eaten. Buddha said to his followers that don't eat anything if anybody is giving. So 5 was looking behind the tree. They got that, they thought that he's a greedy person. So they left them and they came already this place. When you came, 100 half kilometers before, there is another stupa, Chaukhandi stupa. So that time when Buddha after enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, he said to his guru followers, Allah Kalam, his guru, and he said that you first give the knowledge, share your knowledge with those 5 who are disagree with you. So in search of 5 people, he came here and met there, okay? And he delivered his first lecture. सर ये तो यहाँ के लिए सेंट्रल पिलर इज कॉल्ड अशोकन पिलर इट्स अ कंप्लीट हाइट ऑफ द पिलर वाज 15.25 meter. It's made of sandstone and a monolithic stone brought from the Chunar Gulf. The top part of this pillar is the government symbol of India, this lion symbol. So this lion symbol was on the top of the pillar. So this central pillar is built in 3rd century BC, 2350 years ago by Emperor Ashoka. Complete height of the pillar was 15.25 meter. It's made of sandstone and a monolithic stone. It means by single piece of rock, whole pillar was designed. Downside circumference of pillar was 0.71 meter, top side little narrow, 0.56 meter. On the main pillar front side you will see the big inscription in Brahmi script and the Pali language, where Ashoka has given warning for the monks and the nuns in this inscription that those monks and the nuns who don't follow the rules of Buddhism, then they will exit from the union of monks. These 4 pillars were on top of mid pillar.
And this architecture is not a Tibetan creation. This architecture was based on the Indian Buddhist monastery or viharas in the ancient India. So first you must know that this is because today, unfortunately, we don't see or we don't have any ancient Buddhist vihara or temple. So we do not really know what was the Buddhist architecture. We can see the ruins of the Nalanda University, Vikramshila universities, which is stretching over 10 or 15 kilometers. But we can only see the base ruin. And we cannot imagine and we cannot understand what could be the architectural style of those Buddhist monasteries. So therefore, this is the living tradition of the Indian Buddhist architecture, which was based. The first Tibetan monastery built in the 8th century, named Samya Monastery, was based on the Vikramshila Monastery in Nalanda, in Bihar, which is about, I think, 20-30 kilometers from Nalanda University, Vikramshila. We can see ruins of just a few broken bricks of what is called the magnificent monastery, Vikramshila. So the first Tibetan monastery built in Tibet was based on the architecture of the Indian Buddhist vihara, and since then we have kept intact the Buddhist architecture in Tibet, and most of the Tibetan monasteries you see here and there. Even here also, if you see the buildings outside, it is a Tibetan architecture, which is based on the Tibetan monastic architecture, which is, of course, it has its origin to the ancient Indian Buddhist monastery. So first architecture, you see this on the column, this column, just see the human face like, it is called Kirti book in Hindi, you know that. in Kirtimukh. And even today, if you go to the ruins in Sarnath or here in the museum, you can see the Kirtimukh, the column on the top of the pillar, Kirtimukh, even today, so broken pieces there. So therefore, first, the building and the architecture, what you see, this is the living tradition preserved in Tibet of those ancient Buddhist monasteries in ancient India. So that's one architecture. This, for instance, here also you can read the mantra here. There are two. This script is called Ranjana. This is an ancient Indian script. I think we can find few manuscripts which were written in early 10th, 9th centuries. In this script, we can find here and there, very few. The script is very decorative, very designed for a calligraphy. It is very beautiful. So therefore, for instance, this, any of you can try? Or Tadyatha Muni Ma Muni Maha Muni Yasoa. So, okay. So this is the mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha. So we remember Muni Ma Muni. Of course, Muni Ma Muni refers to the Lord Buddha. So one message for your student. You must remember this verse. And this is a verse, one shloka from the Jataka story. And I think this is a very good message and good advice to your students, especially for anyone who is a student or study. This chitra was drawn by a Tibetan scholar in the 13th century. The theme of this story, this picture, is very interesting. It tells a vivid history of the spread of Buddhism in Tibet in the 8th century. This Padma, lotus, it symbolizes, it represents Padma Sambhava. Okay? Padma Sambhava, so lotus. This signifies the Padma Sambhava. And out of the lotus, this knife or sword is coming out. This knife is the symbol of Manjushri, the Lord of Wisdom. Maybe in the other side we have the picture, the Manjushri. So therefore, the Tibetan king who have invited these three great scholars, the Tshon Tetsen, he is regarded as the emanation of Manjushri. Okay? Manjushri. Therefore, the Tshon Tetsen, emanation of Manjushri, is represented by this. Now these two little bird, beautiful birds. Two birds, one body, two neck, two head. So these two birds represent Kamal Shil, and Shantarakshi, the two great Indian. Because one Padma, the other two Indian great scholars, they two, because they have the same body, because they are, both of them are the holders of the Buddhist teacher. And these two birds represent the Tibetan translators, the Tibetan first translators who worked together with these great Indian scholars and produced the translation of Indian texts into Tibetans. So therefore, the whole story of Buddhism, Buddhist Indian great scholars coming to Tibet. So therefore, now, briefly I will just tell you, from here you say, Kagyu, this means, so this section, there are 100 volumes, and these 100 volumes are called, we call it in Tibetan called Kagyu, meaning translation of the word of Buddha. Means these 100 volumes, which were translated from Sanskrit, containing about 1,000 titles, and some of title, even one title can have 12 volumes, and some titles are very short text. So this 100 volume, which is called Tibetan, in Tibetan called Kanyu, the meaning translated Tibetan word, meaning the translation of the Buddha's word. So means the author of these texts is attributed to the Buddha. 225 volumes. 225 volumes, we called it Tenjur, literal meaning translation of the treatise authored by Indian scholars. So it is in 225 volume containing over 4,000 titles. 4,000 titles. All these 4,000 titles were written by the Indian scholars. Indian scholars before 12th century, before 12th centuries. Well, from Indian scholars from the 1st century AD, I think, because Nagarjuna was the first. From the time of Nagarjuna until the 12th century or beginning of the 13th century, during this period, the works that you can imagine their contributions, of course, their contribution in the field of spreading Buddhist teaching, that is exceptional. But as an ordinary, you imagine Indian, I think it is believed that originally he by birth he is from the present day Bangladesh, Chittagong, because in those days it's Eastern Bengal, and even so a person born in Eastern Bengal, or what is now called Chittagong in Bangladesh, studied in Nalanda University in Bihar, and then went to Tibet